something very disturbing is happening behind closed courtroom doors, and the public is just starting to catch on. Blake Lively, once celebrated as the darling of Hollywood's red carpets and wholesome lifestyle, brands, has taken a sharp and unsettling turn. Her current legal battle has morphed into something far more controversial than anyone anticipated. What began as a dispute between colleagues has now exploded into a full-blown campaign of legal warfare, one that's being quietly praised by the very same legal strategists who once stood beside Amber Heard. Yes, you heard that right. Amber Heard's former legal circle, the same group criticized for deploying aggressive narrative-driven courtroom tactics during the infamous Depp trial, has reportedly expressed admiration for Blake Lively's legal approach, and that's not a coincidence. From subpoenas targeting YouTubers and online creators to legal language eerily echoing filings from the Heard case, Lively's legal team seems to be resurrecting and refining a playbook that was once widely condemned, but this time it's working. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Creators are scrubbing videos, journalists are backing away, public figures are staying silent. The fear is real and it's growing. What we're witnessing may not just be a celebrity lasso, it could be the rise of a new blueprint for silencing dissent, intimidating commentary, and reshaping public perception through the brute force of litigation. This is no longer about Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. This is about whether truth still matters when the price of speaking it becomes too high. Because if Blake's strategy succeeds, this could be the beginning of the end for public accountability in Hollywood. And nobody seems ready for that. Blake Lively has long been perceived as one of Hollywood's most polished and seemingly untouchable figures, an actress with a flawless public image, a perfect marriage, and a carefully curated brand. But that image has been unraveling fast in the wake of a bitter legal war that's turned shockingly aggressive, and now chilling praise from an unexpected source has pushed the controversy into a disturbing new direction. Amber Heard's former legal representatives have reportedly commended Blake Lively's recent legal strategies, igniting outrage, concern, and a tidal wave of speculation across social media and legal circles alike. This isn't just tabloid fodder. What we're witnessing now is a dramatic shift in how celebrity legal battles are fought in the public eye. In the wake of Blake Lively's intensifying legal tactics against filmmaker Justin Baldoni and multiple subpoenaed creators, an eerie pattern is beginning to emerge, one that mirrors the controversial strategies once employed by Amber Heard's legal team during her tumultuous battle with Johnny Depp. Legal scholars and entertainment attorneys are beginning to draw connections between the two cases, noting how tactics once heavily criticized and the Depp v. Heard trial are now being echoed in Blake's legal maneuvering. And what's even more alarming is that these parallels are not being rejected, they're being celebrated. That's right, Amber Heard's former attorneys, who were criticized for their confrontational courtroom style, aggressive witness targeting, and behind-the-scenes media positioning, have publicly or privately applauded Blake Lively's approach. According to several insider reports, the implications here go far beyond celebrity gossip. If these methods become normalized, weaponizing the legal system not just to seek justice, but to punish, intimidate, and control public narratives, we could be heading down a deeply troubling path. Blake Lively's strategy has already sparked concern among First Amendment lawyers and digital rights advocates, especially after multiple YouTubers and content creators reported receiving legal threats or subpoenas demanding internal communications, financial records, or even unpublished scripts. It's the kind of move that feels more at home in a political witch hunt than a civil courtroom. One veteran media lawyer, speaking anonymously due to ongoing litigation, put it bluntly, we're seeing the normalization of chilling effects where the goal isn't to win in court. It's to silence the voices that might challenge a narrative. And what's really shocking is that this is coming from someone like Blake Lively, who was previously seen as apolitical and media savvy, not litigious or confrontational. But what triggered this transformation? How did a beloved actress known for rom-coms and red carpet elegance find herself on the receiving end of serious legal criticism and being praised by the same? camp that once went toe-to-toe with Johnny Depp's legal juggernaut. It all appears to have started with the defamation case involving Justin Baldoni, a filmmaker and producer who had worked on a project tied to Blake's charity foundation. When their collaboration fell apart, what was initially assumed to be a private business dispute exploded into a public scandal complete with legal filings, leaked emails, and a barrage of subpoenas targeting influencers, journalists, and even former employees. Blake's legal team wasted no time going on offense, demanding gag orders, filing motions to compel content creators to unmask sources, and attempting to classify YouTube commentary as targeted harassment. It was a move eerily reminiscent of Amber Heard's team during her countersuit against Depp, where journalists and third parties were swept into the litigation crossfire. And now, according to an explosive report from a legal industry trade publication, members of Amber Heard's former legal advisory circle have taken note and expressed admiration for Lively's aggressive posture. The article quotes one former Heard legal strategist saying, "Blake's team is doing what we should have done earlier. Don't wait to defend, strike first." That quote has since gone viral, with some legal experts interpreting it as a red flag. What we're seeing is not just an endorsement of aggressive defense, but of intimidation-based lawfare, says Eliza Tran, a UCLA law professor specializing in media and public interest litigation. This isn't just about protecting a reputation. This is about controlling the narrative and punishing dissent. What's more disturbing is the way Blake's legal team has reportedly structured their communications, blending legal filings with public relations campaigns in a way that blurs the line between courtroom strategy and media manipulation. Several of the creators subpoenaed in recent months noted how the filings against them were almost immediately followed by media reports echoing the claims, within sometimes before the recipients even knew they were being targeted. This level of synchronization has prompted some to compare Blake Lively's legal campaign to Amber Heard's now infamous PR blitz, which included targeted leaks to tabloids, coordinated op-eds, and strategically timed public appearances. The difference, however, is that Blake Lively's version appears even more refined, more discreet, less overt, but arguably more effective. There is another airy connection here to both women sought to reframe their cases through the lens of advocacy and social justice. Amber Heard invoked themes of domestic abuse and survivor narratives. Blake Lively, by contrast, has leaned heavily on themes of online safety, anti-bullying, and creator accountability, positions that are difficult to criticize without appearing insensitive. But critics argue that these talking points are being weaponized to justify a crackdown on dissenting voices. The moment someone wraps themselves in a noble cause while simultaneously deploying legal threats against critics, you have to ask whether it's right ally about justice or about silencing opposition, says media watchdog journalist Amanda Pierce. There is a difference between defending your name and trying to scrub the internet of criticism. And here's where things take an even more bizarre turn. Over the past week, several content creators who were subpoenaed by Lively's legal team discovered that the language used in their subpoenas bore striking similarities to those drafted by Amber Heard's former legal advisors during the Depp trial. Phrases like pattern of coordinated defamation, undisclosed financial incentives, and potential witness intimidation appear in both sets of documents. Coincidence, maybe, but to many legal observers it looks like a direct blueprint. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, multiple industry insiders now claim that some of the attorneys working with Blake Lively's team were once consulted by Heard's legal camp during the early phases of her PR and litigation strategy. While those connections are murky and unconfirmed, the parallels are growing harder to ignore. Blake Lively has yet to publicly address the mounting comparisons to Amber Heard's legal playbook, but the silence from her camp is beginning to speak volumes. especially now when the very people once criticized for their tactics in a highly publicized celebrity trial are plotting her strategy, claiming it represents the next evolution of celebrity lawfare. And that's what makes this all so dangerous, because if these tactics are rewarded, if courts allow them and the public tolerates them, then we may see a future where wealthy public figures can reshape reality simply by filing enough subpoenas and burying their critics in paperwork. There is a reason this is making waves beyond Hollywood. Media rights groups, legal scholars, and First Amendment organizations are beginning to ring alarm bells, because what began as a defamation suit could now be morphing into something far more threatening, a calculated effort to make legal pressure the new tool of brand management. As the media storm continues to build around Blake Lively's ongoing legal battle, a new layer of concern has surfaced, not from the headlines, but from the court documents themselves. In what many experts are now calling a chilling déjà vu, the language, tone, and strategy evident in Blake's latest filings bear uncanny similarities to the very playbook once used by Amber Heard's legal team during her high-profile defamation battle with Johnny Depp. At first glance, the documents seem straightforward pages filled with legal jargon, citations, motions, and protective orders. But when legal experts began comparing these filings side by side with the early stages of Amber Heard's court strategy, the similarities weren't just thematic, they were structural, tactical, and in some cases word for word. In one of the most glaring examples, a motion filed by Blake Lively's legal team seeking emergency relief from sustained reputational injury caused by coordinated digital attacks mirrors the exact phrasing used by Amber Heard's team in a motion against online influencers during her 2020 countersuit discovery phase. The language is nearly identical except for a few updated names and dates. This isn't just a shared vocabulary, it suggests a shared mindset. Even more troubling is how both legal teams appear to leverage these filings to create public narratives, not just legal outcomes. In Heard's case, critics pointed out how certain court documents appeared to be written for media consumption, containing emotionally charged phrasing and anecdotal evidence that would have little relevance in actual court proceedings. Blake's legal filings now seem to echo that same tone, frequently referencing emotional trauma, targeted harassment, and cyberbullying campaigns without providing direct evidence linking Baldoni or any creator to these outcomes. Legal analysts have flagged this language as performative litigation, where the legal filings double as media statements designed as much to sway public opinion as they are to compel judicial action. There is a clear pattern here, says defense attorney Malik Drexler, who has worked in several high-profile celebrity defamation cases. The court becomes a stage, and the filings become scripts. You don't just want to win the case, you want to tell the right story to the public while you do it. The fact that Blake's team is now being praised by Amber Heard's legal circle for these very tactics should concern anyone who values due process. But it's not just the language, it's the targets of these filings that are raising eyebrows. Blake Lively's team hasn't limited its focus to the primary defendant, Justin Baldoni. In a move eerily reminiscent of the Depp-Heard trial, Lively's attorneys have widened the net, going after digital creators, online commentators, and even anonymous Twitter users. Court records show subpoenas issued to mid-sized content creators, many of whom had simply commented on the case without expressing extreme views or spreading false information. Some of these creators, according to their own public statements, have never interacted with Blake Lively or Baldoni personally. Their only connection, posting commentary videos or discussion threads on Reddit and YouTube dissecting court filings and media reports. This kind of third-party targeting has long been controversial. During the Depp v. Heard trial, Amber Heard's legal team attempted to subpoena a number of online voices they alleged were part of a coordinated smear campaign. The courts ultimately pushed back against many of these requests, citing overreach. But now, with Blake Lively's team pursuing similar tactics, there are fears this strategy is being revived and potential. Lie or find, it's one thing to sue Someone who's defaming you with malicious intent, says First Amendment advocate Laurel Pearson. It's another to treat commentary as criminal conspiracy, especially when those commentators are pulling directly from public court records or news reports. This isn't just aggressive, it's dangerous. The broader implication is this: if Blake Lively's legal tactics are upheld or succeed in silencing these third parties, a chilling precedent may be set. In future cases, public figures could use this strategy to effectively silence critics, influencers, and even journalists, all without needing to win a single judgment. The legal threat itself becomes the punishment, and that might be the point. Some legal insiders believe Blake's team is less focused on trial victories and more invested in deterring future scrutiny. One Hollywood attorney who spoke on the condition of anonymity said it's not about Justin anymore. It's about the next journalist or creator who thinks twice before hitting publish. That's the true power of lawfare. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to make people afraid. The term lawfare has gained traction in recent years, describing the use of legal systems to wage psychological or reputational war rather than seek justice. It's become a favorite buzzword in political and media circles, but now it's entering the celebrity world, and not just as a theory. Blake Lively's legal team has filed for multiple gag orders, demanded extensive discovery from creators with no dire CT involvement in the central dispute, and even attempted to compel social platforms to reveal the identities of anonymous posters. These are tactics once reserved for national security cases or massive class action suits. Their use in a celebrity defamation dispute has shocked many within the legal community. And once again, the comparisons to Amber Heard's team grow stronger. During her legal battle with Depp, Heard's team similarly sought to unmask anonymous creators they believed were working in coordination with his supporters. While those efforts were ultimately unsuccessful, they sparked widespread debate about digital privacy and free speech. Now, with Lively's team reportedly using more sophisticated legal frameworks to justify these same tactics, the concern is even greater. There's a dangerous evolution happening here, says tech policy analyst Renate Mayer. Amber's team stumbled through these strategies, and the courts pushed back. But Blake's team is learning from that, making the language cleaner, more compliant, more palatable. That's what makes it so insidious. It looks legitimate until you realize what's actually happening. And perhaps the most disturbing part, it's working. At least a dozen online creators have already taken down videos or scrubbed commentary on the Blake Lively case, citing legal threats or fear of being subpoenaed. Several Reddit threads and YouTube playlists have vanished without a trace. Even journalists are reportedly backing away from in-depth coverage, citing risk assessments from their legal departments. If this trend continues, we could be looking at a complete transformation of how celebrity accountability works online. Creators will hesitate to cover sensitive cases. Journalists will think twice about publishing leaked court documents. Even public records might become harder to access or quote without risk. And all because a few wealthy figures learned how to borrow the blueprint of aggressive legal warfare once pioneered and vilified in the Amber Heard case and make it more effective. There's no official confirmation that Blake Lively's team directly consulted with anyone from Amber Heard's former legal staff. But the eerie alignment in strategy, language, and target selection suggests a disturbing synchronicity. And the consequences aren't limited to Blake or Justin Baldoni. What's playing out right now could fundamentally reshape how the internet responds to celebrity controversy. The very platforms that once amplified criticism and transparency are now under siege, caught between the rights of public figures and the free speech protections of everyday people. What happens next will likely depend on how the courts respond to Blake Lively's filings and whether public pressure forces her team to pull back. But one thing is clear: the tactics now being praised by Amber Heard's legal circle are not just legal maneuvers, they are signals. And if those signals go unchallenged, they may soon become the norm. As public reaction to Blake Lively's legal strategy continues to heat up, one question remains disturbingly unanswered. -1. Where are the voices of accountability? In Hollywood, why has there been such a resounding silence from industry peers, legal associations, and high-profile advocates who usually rush to denounce excessive legal overreach? Or the targeting of independent creators? The answer might lie in one of the entertainment industry's most uncomfortable truths: its addiction to silence when power is at stake. Sources close to major PR firms in Los Angeles and New York report that many influential names in Hollywood are choosing to stay quiet, not because they support the tactics, but because they fear becoming targets themselves. As one entertainment publicist bluntly put it, "No one wants to be the next subpoena." That's how this game is being played now. It's a game with incredibly high stakes. If Blake Lively succeeds in redefining the boundaries of defamation and digital commentary through sheer legal pressure, it could change how every public figure approaches criticism and how every creator, journalist, or whistleblower dares to speak. But here's where things take a more cynical turn. Some insiders aren't just staying silent, they're quietly endorsing Blake's methods. In recent weeks, several powerful entertainment law firms have been internally discussing how to adopt similar tactics for their own celebrity clients. Leaked memos from legal marketing teams show phrases like lively model influencer discovery strategy and preemptive harassment shield being circulated as buzzwords for future litigation prep. It's no longer just a legal strategy, it's becoming a blueprint for managing fame in the internet age. Think about that. What was once a reactive defense mechanism is now being pitched as a proactive career tool. File early, subpoena broadly, and silence quickly, and all the while do it under the protective shield of victimhood. The psychology behind this transformation is both unsettling and telling. For decades, celebrities have relied on PR to manage scandals, carefully worded statements, redemptive interviews, well-timed charity appearances. But the new era of digital criticism, fueled by YouTubers, Substacks, Reddit threads, and podcasts, has made those tactics feel outdated and slow. Now lawfare is replacing PR warfare, and Blake Lively, once the face of wholesome Hollywood elegance, is becoming its most unlikely general. It's a strategic pivot that many in the industry are watching with careful interest. Multiple sources confirm the other major stars, some of whom are facing pending exposes or behind-the-scenes disputes, have been quietly reaching out to Blake's legal team either to study their tactics or potentially hire them. And here's where Amber Heard's legal network comes back into the picture. According to a recent investigation by a legal watchdog blog, at least two consultants who previously advised Amber Heard on reputation protection and litigation strategy are now connected through indirect firms to advisors working with Lively. While not directly representing her, these consultants reportedly offer crisis litigation branding services designed to blend legal maneuvering with social media messaging and influencer suppression. That's right, there is now an entire cottage industry being built around the idea of using lawsuits not as a tool for justice, but as a scalpel for social media control. But this isn't happening in a vacuum. Hollywood executives, streaming platforms, and talent agencies are watching closely. As one producer told Deadline anonymously, if she pulls this off, if Blake manages to shut this whole thing down and walk away clean, everyone will start doing it. No more interviews, no more PR cleanup. Just layer up and erase the internet. That's the terrifying possibility. If public figures learn that it's cheaper and more effective to sue a dozen creators than to explain their actions or apologize publicly, the entire culture of accountability collapses. And the few remaining journalists or platforms with the courage to ask hard questions may suddenly find themselves under legal siege. Yet still most industry players remain silent. Why? Some of it is fear, some of it is complicity, but some of it is simple calculation. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are not fringe figures, they're at the very heart of modern Hollywood. They have deep ties to Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV+, and nearly every major brand operating in the entertainment space. Speaking out against Blake Lively even indirectly means risking future deals, appearances, or collaborations. For most, the cost isn't worth it. Even creators with massive platforms are treading carefully. A-list podcasters, who typically wade into celebrity drama, have notably avoided mentioning Blake's legal tactics. Some have even quietly removed earlier episodes discussing the Baldoni case. Whether this is due to legal pressure or just careful reputation management is unclear, but the pattern is unmistakable. Then there's the Taylor Swift factor. As Blake Lively's longtime friend and inner circle confidant, Swift's silence on the controversy has sparked its own wave of speculation. Some fans believe Swift is privately distancing herself, while others suspect that she may be offering behind-the-scenes support. Either way, her refusal to publicly denounce the tactics or clarify her stance has been interpreted by some as implicit approval. It's a sharp contrast to the way Swift has handled past controversies. In other battles, she's taken firm stances on artist rights, media exploitation, and female empowerment. But when it comes to Blake Lively's legal war, she's opted for complete silence. That silence has not gone unnoticed. And let's not forget about the business side. With Blake and Ryan expanding their media empire through Maximum Effort and other brand ventures, there's a financial motive to maintaining control of the narrative. The stakes aren't just personal, they're corporate. Every piece of negative COVRAG or viral criticism could affect sponsorships, licensing deals, and market perception. So instead of PR teams issuing statements or stars taking questions, what we're getting is a coordinated legal firewall backed by some of the most well-connected firms in the industry, supported quietly by other elite names, and now, incredibly, praised by strategists once criticized for their role in one of Hollywood's most divisive legal battles. If you're starting to feel like this is more than just one lawsuit, like it's a cultural turning point, you're not alone. We are watching in real time as the entertainment industry begins to normalize legal intimidation as a reputation management tool. And the most disturbing part is how seamlessly it's happening. There is no outcry, no protest, just silence and a growing acceptance that this might just be the new way things work. The chilling effect is already here, and unless someone in the industry breaks ranks, unless a major name, a legal ethics board, or even a court finally draws a line, there's no reason to believe this won't become the new standard. What we're witnessing right now is more than just a legal dispute, it's a turning point. Blake Lively's Courtroom campaign now drawing praise from figures once tied to Amber Heard's polarizing legal battle signals a dangerous evolution in how fame, influence, and legal power intersect. The courtroom has become a battleground, not for truth, but for control. And that should terrify anyone who values transparency, freedom of speech, and accountability. When legal tools are used not just to resolve conflict, but to silence dissent, intimidate critics, and reshape narratives, we're no longer just dealing with justice. We're dealing with something far more calculated, something that threatens the very fabric of public discourse. If this strategy works, if creators remain silent, if journalists keep their distance, if Hollywood continues to protect its own at the cost of truth, then this moment won't be a one-off. It will become the norm. A new standard where wealth shields reputation and legal muscle replaces honest conversation. This isn't about who you support, Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni. It's about what kind of industry we're willing to accept. One where power can erase criticism. One where asking questions comes with consequences. One where silence becomes survival. The lines are being drawn now, and if no one pushes back, then the damage won't just hit those involved. In this case, it'll ripple outward, chilling every creator, every whistleblower, every voice brave enough to speak out. Because when the system rewards intimidation, we all lose.